The Malta Residence and Visa Program. The Maltese government introduced the Malta Residence and Visa Program on August 28, 2015, allowing non-EU citizens and their legitimate spouse, children, as well as the parents and grandparents of both the applicant and their spouse to obtain a residency visa. In order to be approved for the visa, an applicant must have purchased government bonds issued by the Central Bank of Malta and held them for at least 5 years, while also having purchased or renting a qualifying property and purchased health insurance. The application and document guidelines. The application and documents that will be required to be provided can be broken down into 4 separate sections. First one being the compulsory documents for all applicants. You'll need to provide a passport, passport photos, national ID card, documentary evidence of residential address, birth certificate, medical report and questionnaire, a health check, which is found in the application form MRVP3, and a clean criminal record. Other documents that might need to be provided, if applicable, are the divorce certificate, the residence permit for third country, military records, and a change of name document. The documents for main applicants only be the application form, so the MRVP1, an affidavit, regular income statement, bank statement, and proof of annual income or fixed assets. Documents for dependents include personal details in the MRVP2, dependent declaration in the MRVP4, a clearance form in MRVP6, and a certificate of non-objection for immigration issued by guardian. The documents that will be prepared by lawyers include the due diligence report, a statement letter, and a power of attorney. Part 1. Compulsory documents for all applicants. The passport. The investor must hold a valid passport and provide a photocopy of the entire passport, including the cover page. This must be authorized by a local authority and the Embassy of Malta. It's important that the passport must be valid for more than 6 months. Passport photos. Each applicant is asked to provide 4 color photos against a white background with a measurement of 2 inches, and the digital copy of those photos. These photos must have been within 6 months prior to applying. Copy of national ID card. Photocopy the front and back side of their ID card on the same page, and this copy must be authorized by the local authority and the Embassy of Malta. Documentary evidence of residential address. All adult applicants are required to provide evidence of residential address for the past 6 months. To do so, they can choose to use utility bills, proof of residence issued by the police, or credit card statements with their address shown. If any offspring of the applicant is over 18 years old and does not reside in the same place with the applicant, then they also need to provide their own proof of address. If all applicants have the same place of residence, then only one proof of residential address is required. Clean criminal record. Applicants who are 14 years or older must provide a clean criminal record, and their proof of a clean criminal record should be valid for more than 6 months. Applicants over 14 years old are required to provide proof of a clean criminal record that must be authorized by the local authority and the Embassy of Malta. An applicant that has resided in a country for more than 6 months in the past 10 years has to provide proof of a clean criminal record in that country to prove that the applicant is a qualified citizen. Birth certificates must be authorized by the local authority. If the applicant is unable to provide a birth certificate, then other documents would need to be provided to verify the family relationship, which also must be authorized by the local authority and the Embassy of Malta. All married applicants need to submit a copy of their marriage certificate, which must be authorized by the local authority and the Embassy of Malta. If one cannot provide a marriage certificate, he or she should provide alternative proof of marital relationship that must be authorized by the local authority and the Embassy of Malta. Medical report and questionnaire. Applicants are asked to print their own MRVP3 forms and a copy of the photo page of their passport, bringing them to the medical examination center for their medical exam. Note: applicants can go to a public hospital or a qualified medical center. The agency will contact the nearest hospital in advance and inform the applicant when to attend the medical exam. The doctor must certify that the individual being examined is the one shown on the identification document, and then fill out, sign, stamp, and date the MRVP3 forms along with the attached copy of their passport. The medical report and questionnaire must be the original English version. All applicants holding a third country residence permit must provide a photocopy of the front and back side of their residence card on the same page, and the copy must be authorized by the local authority and the Embassy of Malta. Note: third country documents provided must be the original, with international certification or the Hague certification. If the third country does not belong to the Hague Treaty, then the documents should be approved by the government of this third country and by the Embassy of Malta. If the applicant is currently divorced, a copy of the divorce certificate is required, and it must be authorized by the local authority and the Embassy of Malta. If the applicant has served in the military, received military training, or participated in any military organization, they need to provide a copy of the original file or a copy of the related certificate that has been authorized by the local authority and the Embassy of Malta. If the applicant has changed their name, they need to provide an official certificate that is authorized by the local authority and the Embassy of Malta. Part 2. Documents for main applicants. The main applicant has to go to the Embassy of Malta to fill out the application form MRVP1, completed in full or marked NA where applicable. The Commissioner for Oaths will need to witness the applicant's signature in the MRVP1 form and make sure it's under the applicant's name, as well as make sure each page of the form is signed by the applicant and the Commissioner for Oaths. An affidavit of dependency will be required for each dependent who is over 18 years old on the date the application is submitted. The affidavit must declare that each dependent is not economically active and is principally dependent on the main applicant as to meet the requirements for dependency as stipulated in Legal Notice 288 of 2015. The main applicant's bank statements should be issued by their domestic bank, covering the past 3 to 6 months, and needs to state the account number, the account holder's name, and be officially stamped on every page. Bank statements need to be issued 1 month before the submission of application. Note: if the original bank statements are not in English, then they need to be translated and certified by the translator. Proof of annual income or fixed assets. The main applicant needs to provide proof of 100,000 euros in annual income or 500,000 euros in fixed assets. Proof of annual income can be proven by a letter of employment showing the annual income, labor contract, payroll, or tax bill. 500,000 euros of fixed assets can be in the form of property, corporate assets, stocks, bank accounts, or even antiques. A mixture of the above examples that accumulates to 500,000 euros is also acceptable. If real estate is the chosen asset, the applicant will need to provide the deed and a real estate appraisal. If the deed is unavailable, the applicant will then need to provide the purchase contract instead. If the applicant is a business owner or shareholder, the documents that are required are as follows: business license, company charter, balance sheet, and owner's equity audit report, all of which shows the applicant's name. Shareholders and shareholder register is required, if available. For a sole proprietor, the equity value should be over 500,000 euros. If the main applicant is only one of the shareholders, the share value of the main applicant is required to reach 500,000 euros. If the applicant participates in the stock market, they will need to demonstrate that their portfolio has a current market value of 500,000 euros or more. If the applicant collects antiques, they will need to provide proof that their antiques have an appraisal showing a market value of at least 500,000 euros. Note, the above materials are all required to be authorized by the local authority and the Embassy of Malta. Part 3. Documents for dependents. Personal Information Form MRVP 2. All applicants need to fill out this form with their personal information. Dependent Declaration MRVP 4 should be filled out by the dependent, stating that they are in compliance with the application requirements of the Malta Residence and Visa. As for the clearance form MRVP 6, all applicants over the age of 12 are asked to fill out this form to clarify that they are giving permission for the Identity Malta office to use their personal information. Certificate of non-objection for immigration issued by a guardian. The documents for parents who are not applying for the program with their children are as follows. If a parent is not applying but shares custody of their child, they will need to sign the child's application form. Not only do they need to declare that he or she is agreeing with their child's application, but they also need to provide copies of all the pages in their passport that are both certified and authenticated. If instead the parent who is not applying has full custody of the child, then they are required to provide a declaration of agreement for immigration, in addition to the documents mentioned above. If the main applicant has full custody of the child, the biological parent who does not apply for the program is not required to issue any documents or sign the child's MRVP4 application form. Part 4. Documents to be prepared by lawyers. Power of attorney is drafted by the lawyer. The main applicant has to go to the Embassy of Malta to sign the POA under the witness of a representative of the embassy. The induction letter aims mainly to show the lawyer's declaration of why the main applicant will apply for the Malta Residence and Visa program. The due diligence report needs to be signed and stamped by an authorized lawyer, and the applicants may also be required to provide any further information. In summary, above are all the documents required for applying for a residence visa in Malta. It is much easier and faster than comparable visa programs on the market. By having the most professional and experienced team to operate the application, this program can quickly offer applicants a brand new life in Malta. Thank you for listening.